listening to Stimulating Conversations, where no topic is taboo and no taboo is off limits. I am your host, Christy Gaynell. Welcome to Stimulating Conversations with Christy Gaynell, where no topic is taboo and no taboo is off limits. And today on the show, we have my special guest, Jolena. Say hello, Jolena.
Hi.
Introduce yourself to the lovely people.
I'm Jolena.
All right, well, I brought Jolena with me today because I felt like she was a really good person to have this very important conversation with. And the conversation that we're going to have has to do with orgasms and specifically like the differences in orgasms between like clitoral, G-spot, cervical. I didn't even know there was a cervical. And yeah, I know, right? And so, and how hard they are to achieve and some of the different reasons why they're difficult to, for some women to achieve. So one of the things that I found out is that like 75%, that's a ridiculously high number, isn't it? 75% of women, according to studies, have never had like a vaginal orgasm. Like they just have had like clitoral orgasms. That's kind of outrageous, don't you think?
It's a little disappointing.
I know. So tell us, have you ever had an orgasm?
I have.
Have you had a vaginal orgasm or just a clitoral orgasm?
I've had both, I believe. And I think both at the same time, maybe like a combination.
Oh, those are the best, right?
Yes.
There's nothing better.
I read it and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what that was.
Like that, I think there's nothing better than a like simultaneous vaginal clitoral orgasm because that's like your whole. Talk about a whole body high. Like that is the best. Like release, like hormonal. Like I mean, everything just. Like, there's no stress left after that. Your body's just like, I feel so bad for all the women who've never had orgasms. But one of the reasons that I wanted to do this show is because I talk to men a lot. I'm around comedians all the time because I'm a comedian. And one of the things that I hear men say a lot is, or complain about, is that, like, women don't want to have sex anymore after they get married or, you know, once they're in a relationship. You'd be shocked how many men say that they don't want a committed relationship because women don't want to have sex anymore once they have a commitment. And I'm like, if you're a woman saying that, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Because I'm like, seriously, no woman who's ever had an orgasm is like, no, I don't want to have sex. No woman's gonna pass up like a legit orgasm. It just doesn't happen in real life. So, but I feel like, you know, in men's defense, it's not always like on the man, or the man's not always responsible. I think a lot of times he is, just because they're so self-interested and like their concern is getting off that they don't want to put in the time and the energy it takes to give a woman a vaginal orgasm.
Sometimes it does take more effort than normal sometimes, and sometimes it's just really not the man, no matter what he does.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. And there are also reasons behind that. Like I was looking at some of the studies, and they were saying that for some women, if they've experienced trauma, either physical or emotional, growing up, then their G-spot gets numb. They call it numb, and so they can't feel, like they don't have any like sensory feelings down there or whatever. So they were like, you have to like unnumb it. You have to like stimulate it, I guess, so that, and like work it so that it starts working again, which is kind of crazy to me.
If you have that trust with that guy, then I think that speeds up or helps the process a lot more.
Definitely. I think intimacy is a lot more important when it comes to getting a G-spot orgasm than with clitoral. Like, and it seems like clitoral is a more intimate experience, but I feel like in order, because I think to have like a G-spot orgasm, you really have to like relax into it. You know what I mean? You have to like let go and connect and open yourself up to like, you know, it, because I guess in a sense it feels like you're giving something of yourself to this person, there's got to be a certain amount of trust. So
yeah, and openness to the whole.
yeah, so I think it definitely requires a more intimate connection. Because I mean, I haven't had them with every person that I've been with, but I have had them, and the times that I've had them, I'm like, oh, where was that hiding, Like, why didn't they tell me? Why didn't they tell me that was possible? And then since then, I've like asked some of my friends, over the years, like, have you ever had an orgasm? And every time they say, I think so, I'm like, nope, you haven't, because you would know.
You definitely know. I will say this, I think the clitoral orgasm is a lot stronger than the vaginal, at least for me.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I feel the release is a lot more powerful clitorally than it is for me vaginally.
Well, do you have a clitoral orgasm through intercourse or only like through external stimulation, like fingering or oral or something like that?
Usually external stimulation.
Yeah.
Not through intercourse. Not clitoral, I don't think. Mm-hmm.
And for G-spot, you had it through intercourse or
or combination of.
Yeah.
Combination of intercourse with toys.
Oh, toy. Yeah, I've heard toys are effective with that too. So for you, is it like easier with toys or?
It's a lot easier. I mean, clitorally, obviously, it's a lot easier for me with toys. I don't really use like a dildo or anything. I don't like the feeling.
I don't either. I don't like the plastic.
I don't like
or
the silicone either. I
like water. I'm a big fan of my shower.
Right, your shower head. Shower is awesome. He definitely has his place.
Yeah.
My shower is a little.
He's weak.
He's a little weak, so I don't really.
You gotta update your shower head, girl. But for me, that's
your toy.
If I'm gonna use something, that's what I'm gonna go to. Like, I don't think I even own any, like...
I had an ex-boyfriend that bought a little toy for me for Valentine's.
Wow. Was it good?
I know, I still have it. It's awesome. But, I probably shouldn't say this, but unfortunately we broke up soon after.
Aw, you're like, I don't need you anymore. I don't need you anymore.
It's awesome, so.
He just replaced himself.
Yeah,
that's sad.
It is sad.
Oh.
But, whatever. It's not like I don't have, any more intercourse to, like, take that part.
Yeah, I don't think anything actually ever replaces, like, full-on intercourse. Like, I mean, some people are like, oh, you got toys, you don't want it. And I'm like, no, we always want it when it's good.
No, it's true. Because, it's funny. Like, I've had some boyfriends that will, just because they, gave me an oral orgasm, that they think that's enough and that the sex is, like, not really for me. But for me, I would rather the sex and, to have the release that way than just the oral sex. It doesn't complete me the way the intercourse does.
So
satisfy me, I guess.
From my experience, like the height of release for me was if you bring me to like the brink of orgasm through clitoral and then go in like that. Like, don't make me come clitorally. Just like get me almost there and then you go in and it's like whoa, like it's like full on, And most guys are like so determined to like get you there through the oral. They're just like
the finish line.
I want to make you come. I want to make you come. I'm like, well, if you just stop and stick it in, like that would really do it. But they don't. So many guys just don't listen. Like they don't, or they don't pay attention, to what works.
I think listening and also, I mean, for women, I think we need to know, have like a basis. Sometimes it changes. Have like a basis of what really gets us going, and have a general idea and be familiar enough with our bodies, ourselves to kind of know, like, okay, this is what I want, and this is kind of how I want it, and then be comfortable enough to say it to him, and he listen and do it.
I think it's definitely important as women to know your body, and not just like physically know your body, but emotionally know your body. Because if you have experienced emotional or physical or sexual traumas, then those things can cause blocks. And I think it's important to know emotionally what those blocks are, so you can kind of help unblock them, or maybe make your partner aware that, you know, this is an issue that's kind of surfaced for me that I might need to work through. So it's not necessarily, you know, there are always triggers. So that, you know, he's not just like, oh, you're not into me or you don't like sex. He knows that there's an actual issue or reason. And I think that's another thing that so many people take for granted, is gynecological health. You know, we often like don't get checked, or we assume that whatever we're supposed to experience, or even worse, we're not supposed to experience, and it's really bad and we don't want to know.
Right, we don't know.
So then we end up suffering, and then I think for some people, like, sex can be really painful and they don't know why. And what's hilarious to
think it's normal.
They think it's normal. Or when the men are like in there and they hear you screaming out in pain, they think that means they're doing a good job. So they go in harder. Like, I'm like, ow, ow, ow. They're like, yeah, I'm killing it. I'm like, no, you're killing me. That shit hurts. I'm gonna need you to stop, like, slow, back it out.
Like, where are you going?
Right. So I just, like, you know, I think that's why communication is so important, and paying attention and understanding that, like, not every scream is a cry of pleasure, you know. Like,
right.
Some things actually hurt in the bad way, and we're like, stop, you know, back off a little bit. But on that note, though, one of the things I found that causes women pain is like fibroids or endometriosis, and then those kinds of things, when you're in there and like she's screaming and it like it hurts, or she doesn't want sex, that can be the reason, you know. Like, nobody wants to have a sexual experience that feels like you're being stabbed or it's like painful.
Kind of defeats the purpose if it hurts. So if it does hurt,
right,
you need to go get it.
So I mean, I guess
get it checked.
Definitely, and even not just get it checked, but when you get checked, because a lot of times, like a lot of times doctors will tell you, you know, you have fibroids or whatever, but they won't tell you this can cause pain during sex, or, you know, this can cause problems
or something.
Yeah, so they won't say it unless you tell them, hey, I'm having pain during sex. Then they'll say, oh yeah, that's because of your fibroids, or that's because you have endometriosis, or your pelvis is turned, or whatever. But if you don't tell the doctor that it's uncomfortable for you, they will not volunteer that information, which I think is kind of sad too. So doctors out there, if you're listening, tell these women what's going on with their bodies. Don't just give them a diagnosis like, hey, found some fibroids, all right, have a good day. Because I mean, their main goal is like, let me cut them out or get rid of them. But I mean, then you tell us they're benign, they're harmless. We're like, yeah, they're not hurting anything until it's time to have sex, and then, you know, it might be uncomfortable. So
they might change the decision to have it removed too. So.
They probably would, and then they've got like these new non-invasive procedures that, you know, they can just kind of blast them out. So
That's nice.
Yeah, they said it's like they embolize them, so it's like a laser. They can just like Yeah, I mean, so there's
pretty awesome.
Lasers work miracles. But I mean, the knowledge is power, and a lot of us just don't know like what's out there or what's possible, and so it ends up becoming kind of frustrating, I think, for everybody. But I think it's hilarious to me. It's hilarious how much men are like act like they're so overly affected by by this issue, but they're so unwilling to put in the work. Like, I'm I'm like, so your concern is your woman doesn't want to keep having sex with you, but you're not willing to look at yourself to see what you're doing wrong. Like, that's it.
Or maybe just open the door to a conversation about what is going on.
Right. Like, hey, what's the problem?
Because, I mean, maybe she's young and she doesn't really know the reasons why.
Yeah. Youth can play a part. Ignorance. I mean, yeah. I know when I first got married, I had some issues, and one of my triggers was like fingering. And every time he would try it, I'd be like, no, stop. You know, like, he was like, what's your problem? And, you know, it was, it triggered a childhood memory that was very negative for me. And so I was just like, I would shut all the way down. But, you know, as a man, like, you know, he's probably been fingering people since he was 12. Am
I not doing it right? What's wrong?
Exactly. He was like, this always works.
Did you ever tell him?
I did tell him. And, you know, he was really patient and was like, oh, you know, and he kind of worked with me, and we found other ways around that. And I didn't like fingering for years. I mean, I've grown to be comfortable. Like, I'm not like completely, I'm not
into it.
I'm still not like, it's not my favorite, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to shut the whole production down as a result. No. Oh my God. Like, yeah, we're done here. He's like, we're just getting started.
Nope, we're done.
Game over. So, yeah, I'm not that bad now, but I'm definitely still not like a fan per se. I mean, I like my own fingers, but I'm not a fan of like everybody's fingers. I'm like, I don't know where y'all hands have been.
Yeah, I'm really germaphobe. You've got to, like, I need to know, like, actually see you in there washing your hands.
Right.
Before we do a lot of finger stuff, so.
I know, like, people do so much stuff with their hands.
I know, it's like,
I know. Like,
exactly. It's like,
it's gross. But yeah, it's so disgusting. But yeah, so the one of the things that I also came across, like, so the clitoral is like I think everybody who thinks they've had an orgasm has had a clitoral orgasm. But one of the things that I found out with the G-spot orgasm is if you push on, they say if you push on like the lower pelvis area, that it like kind of...
My jeans are tight.
Breathe. Yeah, you don't have to impress anyone here.
What am I feeling for?
So you gotta press on that lower pelvic area, and it's supposed to like put pressure on the G-spot and then make it easier to have a G-spot orgasm.
Oh, this is like during sex.
Yeah, during sex.
Oh, okay.
So I mean,
okay,
I've been with one guy, I think, who like did that, but he did it during oral, and gosh, like it made such a difference. I was like, yeah,
he would press down on
like like he would put his hand like right there on like my lower, like right above my pelvis, but below the belly button.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was like, yeah. So the only thing that would have made that better is if he did use a couple fingers at the same time, and then it would have been like the trifecta. Like, I don't know, guys are so single-minded, you know, like it's like one thing at a time.
Well, you know, it's a dance. It's a lot of work going into it. You gotta really be, you know, you gotta do
there's a rhythm
and the fingers and the motion, and you know, you gotta get the right angle sometimes, and so it's a lot going on. And if he's, you know, not that comfortable with it, then just getting one or two parts right is really, you know, admirable.
And so, but the sad thing is, I feel like as women, we've learned to be satisfied with that. We've learned to be happy even with the guy that can get one or two parts right. Like, we don't demand the full experience.
Like,
we're just like, yeah, like most of us are just like, he's good enough. You know what I mean? Like, we're not like, at least he gives me clitoral. You know what I mean? We're not like, no, you need to work on this. We're just like more focused on, I think we're always more focused on their pleasure or their satisfaction than our own.
Sometimes it gets a little distracting to knowing that it's taking a while or whatever. And we're like, okay, I know this is taking a while. His mouth is probably cramping. His fingers cramping. And okay, all right, let's just, I'm going to fake it and then.
Oh, don't tell me you fake it.
I know I don't fake it. I'm just saying what women
death
are
to
saying.
fakers everywhere. I can't stand. I hate when women fake it because I'm like, you are messing it up for the rest of us because these guys think they're really doing something. And I mean, you would be like astonished at the number of men who are like, no, I get a woman to orgasm every time. And I'm like, well, 75% of women say no. Like, right. You know, unless you're like servicing that 25%, I'm going to go with probably not, you know. But it's that male ego is very reluctant to admit or acknowledge any kind of flaws in its approach. I just like, it's true. They're like, no, I'm really.
Unless, of course, you have someone that really takes pride in, like the classic womanizer. You know,
oh, I love womanizers.
Most women
sadly
don't like womanizers, but they know what they're doing.
They do. They put in
work. They put in a lot of attention and a lot of thought and a lot of watching and reading you to know exactly what they're doing and how it affects you. And it pays off. I mean, it takes really a lot of experience and a lot of experiences with a lot of different people, unfortunately. But if you can get past that, then they're very skilled.
They are, and I want to make sure that we're clear that we are not confusing womanizers with players.
No.
There's a huge difference between a womanizer and a player. Like, a womanizer is a person who's actually interested in the woman, in her needs, in satisfying her, and what makes her tick, and what works and what doesn't work. Like, he makes it his job to explore the inner and outer workings of a woman.
A woman, not a whole bunch of different women.
Right. Whereas
at the same time,
a player is just interested in getting his needs met by as many women as he possible. Can. Yeah, that's a totally different genre of man. Not my favorite. Not a fan of players, but
womanizers,
yeah, that's the truth right there. Sadly, but oh my God, they're amazing.
Womanizers are people too, and they like relationships. Sometimes you have to just make sure they're ready.
Yeah, I mean, when they're ready, and I think they're also interested in finding the right one because they put in all that, time and effort into learning a woman. They want a woman who's responsive, who's not like frigid or...
And can give the same thing back.
Yeah, definitely. Who's also interested in reciprocating and pleasing their man, which...
That's a different conversation.
That is a whole different conversation. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
Stay tuned.
Right. But one of the other things that I wanted to address is, do you think there's a difference between coming and orgasm? And are you satisfied with, like, if you think there is, like, what is the difference from your perspective? And, like, is that okay with you?
I think there's a slight difference. I think that I have realized a difference for me without even really knowing it, because I'll say, yeah, I came, but it wasn't like a full orgasm. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, okay, I'm satisfied enough where I'm not like still looking for a release. Right. But it wasn't like that full intense, just whole body flexing kind of.
Yeah.
So I think there is a slight difference.
That's been my experience too. Like I feel like there are times when I come and I'm satisfied with coming. You know, it's better than not coming for sure. I can't tolerate not coming at all. But if I just come, you know,
you gotta break out heavy artillery. Okay, almost failed. Okay, let's reach for something.
But if I have that like that, I call it I guess it's like a minor release where you're like, yeah, I'm satisfied. I can slim down.
Yeah.
You know, but
There you go.
But a full body, like a full orgasm is so much stronger and deeper, and it's like your toes curl and your body vibrates and there's like electricity flowing up and down and through, and you might shake a little bit. But then when you're done with that, like, oh my God, you're spent. Like that is
that's
the ultimate orgasm. I mean that is an orgasm. And I think because so many women come, you know, during sex and maybe haven't had that experience of the full
mind
orgasm, they don't even know the difference. So they're like, yeah, I'm good, you know, and men are like, yeah, you know, like she comes every time, and she might come every time, but I don't feel like coming even makes me crave sex to the degree that orgasms do. Like once I've had an orgasm with someone, like I want to have more sex with them because I know what's possible. Like I know like the heights of what's possible, and I want
to crave them.
Yes, like my body literally like throbs, you know, waiting for that re-entry.
Reconnect.
Yes, I'm like, let's revisit. Where are you? That's like, you know, start stalking people.
Right. Hey, how come you ain't called me?
You know, like blowing up their text messages. Like your inbox is full. So when am I gonna see you again? Yeah. It's been hours. What are you doing? Can I come there? What do you mean I can't come to your job? We could find a spot, you know. Like we get really creative when you find someone that gives you an actual orgasm. Whereas I think with someone who just makes you come, you're just like,
yeah, okay.
Exactly. I'm like, he's calling you all the time. Then he's like, hey, can I come over? And I'm like,
But the bad thing about that is that, you know, you are chasing him so you have to like really back off so that you're not chasing him, and he's like, oh yeah, I can do whatever I want but it's really hard. It's really, really hard not to like be the aggressor once you find somebody that really takes you there.
It is hard. And I think it sucks that, you know,
you can't.
I know. Like, what is that? Who created these rules where if it's good and you want more of it, you can't say.
You can't act like you want more. You can't
right? Because then they're like, oh, I got her. Let me, you know.
Yeah. Oh, she's easy or whatever.
I hate all the games. I really.
Yeah.
It really frustrates me. Like, I hate the game of you have to pretend.
I don't want it.
But you know what's worse than that is the guy who's capable of doing it to that height and then just doesn't. That guy pisses me off regularly. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you know what it takes? Like, you've done it. You've demonstrated your ability. And you're just gonna not do it? The fuck? I'm not even on speaking terms with that guy. You know, unless he's willing. That's the one where you really have to like wait till he wants it, or make him like wait, and then he'll do it because he's trying to like, yes, fuckers. Like, really, asshole. Oh, I can't stand that guy. Because every time I give in. Like, just in case it's the one time.
Right, this might be the chance.
just in case he's going to do it right. I'm like, all right, come on, you know. And then he doesn't. And I'm just like, you suck. But you can't go anywhere else because then you're risking the possibility of not even coming or it sucking or...
I have to be really selective because once you've had that really good session and you've had that really powerful orgasms, and you've had like several of them, there is no going back to mediocre sex.
No, I mean, no.
There's no going back.
No.
Like,
No.
you will...
It's hard to settle.
You will kick somebody out of your house. Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
And
I would
be
kick
nice
someone
about
out of my vagina, like in the middle. I'm like, yeah, this isn't
You
working.
can't spend the night here.
No, not spend. You can't spend the rest of. You
No,
can't.
we're done
I don't
here.
even care if you don't come. Like you're you're ruining this
You're
for
done.
me. I'm like, stop. He's like, but we're not finished. No,
we are. We are.
Yeah, we're both. Yeah.
This is done.
I can't because I just can't.
There's no
Like,
going
I'm
back.
not gonna torture myself, you know. And then I feel like if I let him finish or I finish, then that raises my number.
Heaven forbid the number get high.
So if I kick him out in the middle, then
It doesn't
it
count.
doesn't count, right?
You're so stupid.
Isn't that how it works then?
Sure.
If we don't finish, or if it's bad, then it doesn't count, right?
I
Like,
agree.
that's definitely.
You can say what you want. I agree.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's how I keep my number reasonable. I only count the top 10. And some people are out there like, 10? You whore!
I know, right? If you only knew.
That's funny. My phone's gonna be blowing up in a minute. Am I in the top 10? No. Who are you? If you're in the top 10, you know I've called you. You know, ever. But no. If I've never called you for sex. Because, I mean, I'm not aggressive like that. Like, I am passive aggressive. I don't generally call people or whatever. I'm especially passive aggressive when it comes to sex.
I'm aggressive.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm definitely more like, I will inspire you to be aggressive. But then when they were like too aggressive, I'm like, wait, hashtag me too. Calm down. I didn't say yes. I didn't. So I have to be very careful because, I mean, even though I'm not like super aggressive, I have aggressive energy. Like I have high sexual energy, and so people are very responsive. So I have to just be like,
No. Don't give false positives.
yeah. Well, I don't try to, but you know, all I have to do is smile, and people are like, she wants me. I'm like, I might. Can you make me orgasm? But
Let's talk about this first.
most people I just look at and assume they can't.
That's, you know, I hate to say it,
Isn't that sad?
but it's probably a good assumption.
I feel like it is. I mean, you know, 75%, like, they've got to be. So, I feel like if 75% of women aren't having orgasms, then 75% of men probably aren't capable of giving women orgasms. Isn't that like how that works? That's the balance.
I don't know about that one. We'll have to do some more research into that one.
Well, I mean, okay, maybe my math and calculations are, you know, suspect. I'm just saying they can't all be good, and all these women are not getting off. So I feel like, you know, I'm gonna be selective. And if there's no chemistry, you know, there's definitely not gonna be.
Yeah, I was going to say there are some clues, I guess, that I use in order to kind of try to be able to figure out if they're good or not before I even bother going past a certain point.
What are your clues?
Maybe it's more of a chemistry thing.
Yeah, I definitely use chemistry as like starting. Like, that's the base. If there's no chemistry, there's no moving forward.
But like a really strong chemistry, not just, oh, I think he's cute, but there's chemistry and there's conversation and there's, you know, I like their smell and I like their teeth and, you know what I'm saying?
And they're big, yeah. Because I like to kiss. I'm like, I don't want to kiss you if you got messed up teeth.
No.
So, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, just certain things that I like in a man that I look for.
Yeah, I think one of the things that God really got right in, if you believe in God, in creating us, was giving us the 5 senses. And like for me, you have to pass the 5 senses test in order to move forward. So you've got to smell. Like I have to be attracted to your smell.
Your scent,
I
not
have
just your cologne, but
your animal, your primal scent. And in fact, if you're wearing too much cologne, that turns me off because I'm like, it's like a rat. Like you're hiding something. Like what are you covering?
It's like a girl with too much perfume and powder and shit down there.
Yeah, it's like
it's not supposed to smell like a strawberry.
Like, is that peaches and perch? But a comedian friend of mine does a joke about that. Talking about it smells like fish in Victoria's Secret. That's just gross. But
that is bad. But yeah, if it does smell like that, you need to get checked out.
Yeah, for real. But no, like, so I have to be attracted to like your inherent primal scent, you know, like your pheromones or whatever. The other one, if your touch is uncomfortable, I'm like, yo, don't touch me. Yeah, like if I pull away or and that happens. Like that's so instinctive. You know what I mean? Like some people touch you and you kind of like lean in, or you like kind of put their hand on you because the touch feels really nice and comforting. Or some of them you'll feel like that electricity and that chemistry. And then some people touch you and like, oh, like I've literally jumped. I have jumped out of my sleep when somebody's touched me before. Just like, what are you doing? Don't do that. So yeah, the touch is like huge.
Yeah, it is.
So there's touch visually. Obviously, you have to like look appealing.
Right.
And then
the sound of their voice.
Yes, on the phone. I've actually broken up with a guy because the sound of his voice over the phone like irritated me. Like I just was
the way
I can't take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean grammar is kind of feels shallow. But it's a big thing for me. I think because I'm a wordsmith, like I'm into words.
Right.
And if you mispronounce them or, you know, use them inappropriately or incorrectly, I'm just like...
You need a dictionary.
At least, right? I'm a little more forgiving over text. But, but if you're talking to me... Like, one of my pet peeves is when guys are like, hey, Miss Lady, can we conversate? And I'm like, no, you can't conversate. If you can't converse, I can't conversate. Like, I'm very, so.
So everyone has their own categories, you know, that's big.
Yeah, so the sound of their voice to me, though, is even more important than their diction, like, or the words, the grammar or whatever, because there's like certain tones, like, oh my god, I have to tell you, I don't think I ever told you this. So I was talking to this guy, he is a Jamaican guy, right? And one day he decides he wants to have phone sex. Like I had no sexual attraction to him, so to speak, but I was just like, whatever. So he like initiates it and goes all in, and when he climaxed, it was the worst sound I've ever heard in my life. It was like I was like, oh my god, it sounded like a hyena or something. It was such a horrible sound. Like I had to hang up the phone. Like I could not keep it up to my ear. I was just like, no. I almost wish I had recorded it because it was so bad. But I was like, God. I couldn't even talk to him anymore after that because I was just like, oh, because there's no way. Like if you sound like that during phone sex, there is no way I'm gonna have actual sex with you. Like.
That is torturous.
Oh, it was the most horrendous sound I've ever heard. it sounded worse than like an animal dying. It was like, oh my God. I was literally like somebody put him out of his misery. It was so bad. Oh, I just wanted to send like a hitman over there to help him out or something. It was bad. It was really bad. But so yeah. Yeah. Are we getting to that time? Are you almost out? Do we have maybe 5 or 10 more minutes with you? How many more can you give me?
I can give you like 3.
3? Okay. Well, let's see. Before you go, I was just going to talk about some of the things that people have suggested for how to have a G-spot orgasm. Do you have any tips from your personal experiences to help people who have problems with G-spot orgasms that might like benefit them in trying to achieve one?
Besides what we talked about?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, you know, if, like, say there's a single woman out there who's like, wait, I want to try that. Like, do you know, have you ever had one through masturbation? Like, through, like, just your hands? No? It's hard to reach it with your own hands,
I wouldn't even know how to get, like, I think I've felt in there and felt the G-spot, but in order for me to, like, stimulate myself to coming that way, I think it's just too much work. The payoff is not worth it. I'll just stick to like clitoral or something.
You sound like a guy. I'm just kidding.
But for G-spot, I think the G-spot is conditional. It's greatly conditioned on the relationship with the man.
Yeah.
And for me, that was probably the only way that I have had one. And so that relationship, that comfort, that communication is key, I think, for someone else who's having difficulty. They need to like talk about it. Talk about what's going on with them during sex. Like, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about not sexual stuff? You know?
Yeah.
Or are you kind of in the moment and feeling and reciprocating? And, you know, a lot of times, if you do things that please him while you're being pleased, it kind of enhances the whole experience. And so that can kind of build on your feeling of being into it and getting stimulated enough to where you'll climax. I don't think it's just an automatic. I think it's a build-up that you have to like milk, you know, and feed in order to like make it grow and grow and grow, and then you climax.
I think too that's one of the biggest and best kind of reasons to promote like longer term relationships, because when you're in short term situations or you know you're out hoeing, you don't ever get close enough to somebody to really have that connection or have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But in like a longer relationship where you really take the time to get to know, you know, each other's bodies and you know what works and what doesn't work. But I don't know, some people think that, you know, sex gets boring if you're doing it with the same person over and over again, but I'm like, for me, orgasms never get boring. So if we've worked up to the point where you can get me to orgasm, then I don't see where the sex can be boring.
Right. You've got so many different ways to get there. You can start out like however, you know, you can start out
right
up here or back there or wherever and end up, you know, you don't have to like take it in the rear the whole time.
There's levels to this game.
There are levels to it, but you don't have to have it the same way the whole time, and you kind of not get used to, but know that this position right here is my favorite,
right.
You know, and this will most likely get me to climax. And so you can start out any other way and whatever, and then you can like once you're there at that phase, you can switch it up to put it into, you know, into the finishing move, as I put it.
Finishing move.
Finish her. Yeah, the finishing move, and then and that kind of will add some more spice to it because you're not doing the same thing the whole time.
Yeah, I think spice is important. I think some of the tips I found with regard to it are to relax and open up, you know, because if you're in your head, or if you're thinking about bills or babies or, oh my God, am I a hoe for sleeping with this guy on the first date? It's just not going to happen. Like, none of those things are going to get you there. No. Like, oh my God, I'm an earth girl. What did I do? Another tip it says is restore sensation. So that's like actually like rubbing it out. Like, you know what I mean? Like putting that energy in, restoring sensation. And if you have a numb vagina, stay in it for the long haul. So, you know, don't just give up because it's taking too long. You got to keep trying, keep working at it, keep going.
Keep practicing.
Strengthen your vagina, Kegels.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I think is.
You don't have to have the balls. You can just flex and or however you say it, tense or and release. Just sitting
contract.
Here, you know?
Yeah.
It's tell them how.
Contract and release. You
if you
pull
can't
it
find it, like if you can't find it here when you're peeing.
Yeah, you do it like you're trying to stop yourself from peeing. And you just like pull it in.
Muscles.
Right, exactly. So imagine that you have to pee or that you're peeing and that you're trying to make yourself stop peeing.
Right.
And
that's the contract.
And then you let go, like you're gonna go pee. But you got to do it when you're not peeing. you gotta do it when you don't have to pee. And then you're like, you know, you're just sitting there and
don't pee in the bed.
I'm doing them right now, so it's very easy.
No one knows
unless you tell them on live on live radio. And then a big one that I find helps with all kinds of orgasms, like that, like really enhances it, is deep breathing. Like taking like those long, deep cleansing breaths, and like it just sends oxygen to all of those already enlarged parts, and it just like magnifies every sensation. So that's my biggest like. I think even above Kegels is breathing is like the best thing you can do during sex. I think that's why so many people
relax. I think it helps relax.
It helps relax, but it also helps, I think, to stimulate
like the oxygen.
Yeah, because it just kind of
Isn't that
it loses
oxygen?
Exactly, and even in the shower, you get that OxyClean. Just breathe into your shower. It's a fully cleansing experience, I swear. So those are our tips. And I have to thank Jolena for being such an awesome guest. Thank you for coming on the show and talking with me about
anytime
orgasms. And thank you guys for listening and watching.